Hi, this is Rick for EDU Mobile. We're going to talk a little bit more about segues. We're going to talk about sending data through a segue. This is a very important thing to know how to do, not only for the assignments that you're about to complete, but also typically we don't just segue to a view controller. We send some stuff with the segue to a view controller to be displayed in that second view controller. So here we go. Under the hood, when we trigger a segue, there's a delegate method being called, and that delegate method is on the view controller that we're sending the segue from, and it's called prepare for segue. It has two arguments: a segue, which is a type UI storyboard segue, and a sender, which is an any object optional. Segue is the segue that's being triggered, this segue that is happening, that's being prepared for right now. Sender is the control that triggers the segue. This is very important. It is not the view controller that the segue is being sent from. It is actually the control that triggers the segue. So we can get information about the destination view controller, the view controller we're segueing to, from the segue parameter itself. And using this information, we can send data along with the segue. So let's take a look at how that's done. Segue, that segue property or parameter comes through, and it has a destination view controller property. Now, when that segue comes back and its destination view controller comes back, you can't just use that as it is, because it's a UI view controller instance. You have to cast it, and it's a downcast. You have to cast it to the actual type of the controller that we're segueing to. So this is fairly simple. We let, in this case, the destination, or whatever we want to call that object, segue.destinationViewController as question mark. This is a downcast. We need to know that it will succeed. We don't know if it will succeed. Usually it does, but let's be safe. As question mark gives us back an optional form, and we go as question mark, and then whatever the type of the new view controller is, second view controller, detail view controller, whatever we've called that view controller subclass. Then we can set a property in the destination. So destination.someProperty is equal to some value that we have that we want to pass. And that's it. That's all we have to do in the segue, in the prepare for segue method. Then, after prepare for segue is done, the segue will be fired and the new view controller will be brought up. So, a couple of notes here. Don't try to send data directly to an outlet property in the destination view controller. Use a stored property. You may be able to use a calculated property, but safer, use a stored property in the destination instead. And then in the destination's view controller's view will appear override method. You want to go ahead and copy those values to wherever they're going. If they're going to outlet properties such as labels, you just copy those values. The segue's sender, and I mentioned this before, but it's very important, is the control that triggers the segue, and it's not the view controller in which the control exists. May be tempting to try and use sender's properties to get to data that you want to send. That's not the case. We can just use those properties to send the data. The sender itself is actually the control, and we'll look at this in the demo. We'll just see if it is indeed a UI button. The sender parameter in the prepare for segue, the sender parameter can be used if more than one control segues to the same destination. So we might have two different buttons, and we want to pass different data depending on which button is tapped, for instance. So we can figure out which of those buttons is sending the segue, and then adjust our data depending on what we're doing. Thank you very much.